I hope you're well. Thank you for sending your work in yesterday. It's a great start to our new topic. So please remember to keep sending your work in. Now we're carrying on our work with maths as we will be all week. Let's start our second lesson of the week. Just minimize my face. It's better. So the date today is the 16th of June 2020. It is a Tuesday, and the LI is to measure and compare mass. Now, we discussed yesterday mass means weight, and you'll need a pencil, a ruler, and a piece of paper. Just make sure you have them in front of you. If you don't, pause the video, make sure you go and get them, and let's get ready to begin. So number talk, here we have a scale. What is the increment and what is the value of the, what is the value of the arrowed position, which is this here. So pause the video, refresh your skills from yesterday, and answer the questions. Off you go. So as you'll remember, we count the increments first. So we're going to little increments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 increments here. So the 20 increments, let's put this up here, 20 increments, 20 intervals. The maximum weight here is 500 grams. What happens next? So we could say 500 divided by 20. Now this might take you some time, okay, but the answer is 25 grams. So each increment, each interval is 25 grams. Let's count up 25 to see where the arrow is pointing. So it's 0, 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 225. This arrow is pointing at 225 grams. So hope you got that right. If you did, excellent. If not, do not worry. Plenty of time to practice. Let's move on. So here's our key vocabulary. Same as yesterday. Gram, intervals, weight, mass, kilogram, and scales. Today we'll be learning to measure and compare mass. Now you'll remember comparing means you have two figures and you have to say which one is larger, which one is smaller. We use our greater than, smaller than, and equal signs to compare things. And last week we were comparing time duration, and this week we are comparing mass as well as measuring it. So what key units of measurement do you already know, and what are they used to measure? So I think about what units of measurements we've already looked at in this year so far, in year 3, and what are they used to measure? So we've been looking at meters, we looked at meters, centimeters, and millimeters, and they're used to measure length, okay? And yesterday we looked at grams and kilograms, and they're used to measure mass, i.e. weight. So what is mass? What is used to measure mass, and what is its units of measurement? So I gave you a bit of an answer to this before this slide, but have a go at answering these questions. What is mass? What is used to measure mass, and what is its unit of measurement? So here we go. Can't now move this down. So mass tells us how heavy or light something is, and mass is measured in kilograms and grams. So the abbreviation for kilogram is kg, and the abbreviation for gram is g. And what is this called, and what do you notice? What are these called? This is called scales, and what do you notice about the scales? Just write down your comments, have a look at them. So in this scale, both the counters and the strawberry weigh the same, because the scale is like this, it's level, which means that there's no greater force on either side. So these two are of equal mass. On this scale, this is weighing down scales like this, which means that this object is heavier than that object, or that object is lighter than that object. And here you have 12 pounds and 7 pounds, and obviously this is heavier, so the scale's tipped in that direction, and there's more force applied here. And so this 12 pounds is heavier than 7 pounds. Good. So how many grams make 1 kilogram? And hopefully think about meters and kilometers. That might give you a clue. So here we have something grams that equal to 1 kilogram. Oh, let's try and move them all out the way. Like this. So 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. There are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram, similar to there being 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Okay, the kilo indicates there's 1,000 of them in there. So 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. This is going to give us the same information. There you go. So how do we convert between grams and kilograms? Let's think about that. How would we convert between grams and kilograms? Pause the video, have a think. And here we go. So don't worry about tons for now. I'm just going to, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to just put a line through there. So to think about this. Okay. So just to convert from kilograms to grams, you multiply by 1,000. But to convert between grams to convert from grams to kilograms, you need to divide by 1,000. Right, so what would you measure by grams and what would you measure by kilograms? Have a think. What would you measure by grams and what would you measure by kilograms? So grams are used for lightweight items such as flour used in a cake. So when you're baking a cake, you'll notice that you're very, very rare the ingredients are in kilograms. You'll get, use 200 grams of flour, use 100 grams of sugar, use 50 grams of butter. So the weights that are used, the units of measurements used for cooking are usually grams. The only time I've ever seen kilograms used, I think, is when I was looking at a recipe about how to make shepherd's pie, and they'd written down use 1.5 kilograms of potatoes because there's lots of potatoes in shepherd's pie. So, but normally they use grams and ounces. Kilograms are usually measured to measure the weight of heavy objects, such as a person. So when you weigh yourself, your weight's usually in kilograms and not grams because it's a bigger unit of measurement. And tons are used for measuring objects that are more than 1,000 kilograms, like an elephant. So I don't think we'd be using that today. Let's practice reading a scale. So here's a scale. It starts at 0. Okay, and you've got your increments here. And what is the arrow here? What's it pointing at? So let's write the scale has an increment of something. The arrow is pointing at something and the mass is something grams. Let's see what are the increments worth for. Let's see what's the increment. Each increment is how many grams. I think you agree it's 8. So it's 0, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, and this will be, it is 0, but if something was just before then, the max weight that this would show would be 64. So what is this arrow pointing towards? Now, as you can see from here to here, it's 0 to 8. So this is 8 grams. So what's the halfway point between 0 and 8? It's 4. So each little increment is actually 4, your 4 times table. So it's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48. This must be, that's right, this must be 52 grams. Okay, so the key is in looking at trying to find the increment, seeing what its value is, and then looking at the arrow and trying to work out what it's pointing at. Okay, let's go to our next example. So here you have a scale with a bag of something on top of it. What is the weight of this bag? So let's work this out. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, so the scale has an increment of, let's see the jumps. Jumps are going up in 1 kilogram. So each interval is worth 1 kilogram. The arrow is pointing at 1, 2, 3, not quite 4, more 3.5. So let's say 3.5. The coins weigh 3.5 kilograms. Good job. Or you could write 3.5, or you could write 3.5 kilograms. Same thing. That's fine. Let's try this. Now pause the video, look at the scales, and fill in the missing blanks. The scale has an increment, first for this cupcake, the scale has an increment of this. The arrow is pointing blank, the cupcake weighs blank, and then for this scale, the scale has an increment of blank, the arrow is pointing blank, and the baked beans weigh blank. So pause the video and have a go. So let's see. This scale here has an increment of 10, 20, of 10 grams. 10 grams. The arrow is pointing at, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,